Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX. Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Welcome back to Boom Markets Talk Show. I hope you guys can hear me now. When it gets to the sound, you can just actually give me a message to say about the sound that is actually on or not. But please do subscribe for my YouTube page so that you can get actually all my notifications, and also you can remind me about the sound as well. And please do fund your account with $250 and get the classes absolutely free. And so that you can actually benefit out of this whole charade about the property market. And look, I was actually right on this whole thing on Monday, where I said actually they will miss a payment. That is now Evergrande. And it actually happened. They did not actually make payment. And the market, actually the bond market in China, were going into a heavy sell-off, and which I will explain now to you. And it went to a sell-off, but funny enough, it did not actually erupt into the market itself. And now I think it's inevitable that it will happen. The Chinese government will definitely not intervene in the story. So they will leave it up to the market to solve itself. Now, back in 2017, when I was writing the book, The Ultimate Depression, this was actually the whole entire story, if I can just go back. This is actually an article in 2018. Thanks a lot for the comments, guys. I really appreciate it. The sound is back on Katlego. Thanks a lot. LaRue as well. Thanks a lot. This is actually an article. This is now back in 2018. A fifth of Chinese housing is empty, and that is 50 million houses. Today, it sits actually at 90 million houses. That stands empty. So these guys have been pumping money in there in the property market, and these guys are keep on building and building the whole entire time. And nothing actually happened, nothing materialized. So now the houses are standing open. The problem is also back in 2017, where I said with the Chinese one-child policy, that is the recipe for disaster. Because obviously people need to stay in these houses. So you build houses for obviously for future generations to stay in the houses. Now, if you build houses for nobody because they only had one child, and some people just don't have children at all, then what is the bloody use you build these houses? So they've been building these houses for nobody. And now the whole thing is about to cave in. Now, every time the Chinese government went in and intervened, because these guys don't make money, so they intervene, these guys get money, they borrowed, the state-owned banks in China borrowed money to these guys, and they just keep on building the whole entire time. With 600,000 houses per year, what Evergrande is built, and also other companies, it is enormous. And obviously you need the population to take on these houses. And as I've been saying in my book, the people are actually, the Chinese people are actually getting older, and there is not a new generation that comes in. And that is an absolute truth. Now, the big story, they're sitting now with this big buck. They overbuilt, overspent, and it's actually sitting now on 52 trillion. Now, if this thing erupts, it will destroy basically the property market in China, which is actually 4% of the entire GDP. And it's actually 62% of people's wealth in China. So if it actually destroys, it will be terrible, not just for China, but for the rest of the world, and also for Australia, South Africa, and countries that are partnered with China, because they're getting their commodities from us for them to actually to build these houses. Now, if I go through articles, this was now from the Washington Post, with the 52 trillion bubble, China grapples with an epic property boom. Now, this is the article that I show you. This is now Evergrande property sales drop to 26% as Chinese home market cools. Now, because obviously the house market will actually start to drop, because obviously there's houses that have been built, but it's just standing there, and people are not interested in buying these houses. So here they say holders of Evergrande linked to Jumbo Fortune bond yet to be paid. These guys did not pay their people back. This was now on the 17th of October. Then again, it happened on Monday, where they just didn't pay these people back. So it is real that these guys are broke. They don't have the money to pay anybody back because nobody is buying their property anymore. So if these guys are not making money, why would the Chinese Communist government give money to Evergrande and all the other guys that are also screaming now for money to give them money when knowingly that nobody buying these properties? Nobody's buying it. So it is literally putting money down the pit. You can bail them out now, but next year the story will just come again, or next month when they need to repay, the story will just come again. Now, this is what happened actually. I'm sharing my screen here, and I'm just making it just a bit bigger. Now, this is actually what happened. There was a warning sign. China equity risk is diverting from credit. So this is the credit in red, and this is actually the market itself, the Chinese market. So the equity market actually went up, but it's away from credit, where credit was always the driver of the equity market. Credit is pushing down, and the equity market actually went up. Now, honestly speaking, how the hell will this work? So they need credit to push up again to get to the equity market so that they can push on. If Chinese equity market starts to crash, which can happen, it is too fragile. It can happen at any given time. It can happen today, it can happen tomorrow, it can happen obviously tomorrow when inflation news in the United States come out, it can happen on Friday, it can happen again on Monday. But you need to stay focused on this, because when it happens, you must just press that sell button because it will erupt. Obviously, there will be a bit of retracements into it, but definitely it will be one hell of a steep sell-off when it comes. This is a thing that I've been talking about since 2017. And obviously, with the housing market that they keep on building, you could see a disaster coming there. And although nobody believed me at that particular time, people said I was nuts. Now you will see it actually for yourself. Leroux, hi Leroux. So you will see it actually for yourself. Here is a Fantasia 7.5% drop in 2021. It is the market dropped there from $100 to $74. This is just one hell of a drop that actually happened, where the property market, nobody's interested into anymore. This is another property market, not just Evergrande, but this is Modern Land, where they actually project what's going to happen in 2023. But it already started to drop. So obviously, by 2023, there will be nothing left of this account. And this is Fantasia, where they dropped in 2021, where the market is just dropping now. It's selling, obviously, with Evergrande, and now this. And there's also other markets that actually also screaming that they need money, so they also went into a sell-off. This happened to the bond market, or to the junk Chinese bond market, where the yields actually start to erupt rapidly. Now, when this happens is when people are starting to take their money out of the bond market. And this means that they actually see that the people are not paying back. The bond investors are not paying back, so they actually withdraw their money and they're taking it and they're going. So this is the bond market. And actually it went up, and you can see that people are not paying back their bonds anymore. And people are literally taking their money out of the bond market, because it's useless to put your money into junk bonds when these guys are not paying the money back. So that is now the story, actually, when it comes to China. Katlego was actually asking questions. How will this affect the dollar yuan? This will actually put the dollar in a good light. The dollar is seen as a safe haven currency, and that is where people normally run to when things like this erupt. When China crashes, that is where the dollar will actually go up. And obviously, with the stories in the United States, if you can go back to 2008 recession, where the United States were actually, or I would say, Lehman Brothers were the cause of the recession in 2008, the dollar didn't go down. It went up, because it's a safe haven currency. And you can compare it with Australia, you can compare it with New Zealand dollar, you compare it with the euro. The currency that went up was the US dollar and the Japanese, and obviously the Swiss franc. So when this happens again, and it can happen at any given time, the dollar will go up, and I think it will go up even better than 2008, because it's not just the United States that will suffer, but China will definitely sink, and then obviously parts of Europe and obviously South Africa as well that will sink. So the dollar will be enormously strong when this happens, and I can't stress this enough, that it will definitely happen at any given time, because obviously these guys can't pay back their bonds anymore, and the Chinese government are not interested in bailing these guys out. So the Chinese government is literally leaving these guys on their own. So there's no mercy from the Chinese government. So I don't see how it will not collapse. And it's not just Evergrande, but the entire property sector in China. So please, guys, be very careful on this story, and please track it, and I will do my absolute best to broadcast it for you. This is actually a very interesting time when it gets to the Chinese economy, but please stay high alert, because you might get trapped into a trade. And if this thing erupts, the Dow Jones, the South African JSE, I don't know about the NASDAQ, but I know about the Dow Jones will definitely sink. The German DAX, the Chinese Hang Seng, the Australian market, all of them will basically sink. And that is where your dollar will start to go up. This could be the switch for us, where we see actually a whole crash coming in. And I think, as I said in my book, I think it will start in China and it will erupt across the world. So please be very careful, traders, because I think it will happen at any given time. So that is it from my side. Please don't forget to subscribe for my YouTube page, and please don't forget to fund your account with $250 with markets.com. There's a link below. Click on it so that I can explain to you more regarding this whole entire crash and how you can trade actually and take advantage of this whole story. That is it from my side. Thanks a lot for everybody, for Deirdre Leroux, Katlego, for actually, and Delegate for actually warning me about my sound. And thanks a lot for the question, Katlego, when it comes to the US dollar. That is it from my side. See you guys tomorrow at the same time. Oh, and then when I click the link, it don't open. Katlego, I will do my absolute best to assist you on that when it comes to the markets.com link. But thanks a lot for letting me know about it. That is it from my side. I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time at 1 o'clock. Bye-bye.